afternoon. My name is Scott Rudd, the Chief Strategic Officer at T3Live.com. Welcome to today's recap and look ahead.
观众朋友们，大家好，欢迎收看今天的直击美股，我是主持人张舒，在纽约向您问好。周一美股再创历史新高，道指也是连续第7天的上涨。其实今天在美股开市之前，我们就已经领略到了美股到底现在有多么的强劲。因为在周末的时候，土耳其发生政变，当时美股的股指期货是瞬间下跌了100到150点左右。但是在今天早上开市的时候，美股的股指期货又反弹20到30点，因此这显示了当前美股的强劲状态。今天领涨市场的主要是科技板块，但是就在刚才，也就是收盘之后，我们看到像奈飞、IBM 以及雅虎是公布了一个喜忧参半的报告，那也就是说，在明天科技板块很可能会受此影响。那么关于财报季，本周将会有非常多的公司公布财报，那么财报季投资人究竟应该如何持股呢？下面就让我们来看一下今天的交易员访谈。Hi Scott, your stocks traded at record highs again, and also when we come into today's market, we see all these M&A announcements that help the risk on tone, and also over the weekend, though we have this coup attempt in Turkey, but our market held very well and showed remarkable resilience. So how do you think about the tape in SPX right now?
I think you just said it, resilience. On Friday, the futures are down 15 handles. We walked in this morning, they were up 2. So that just shows that it's going to take a lot to bring this market down. So with that being said, traders are trying to be a little bit more opportunistic in finding where the action is and where the good setup is versus the top. And if you look here at the S&P cash, you will see that although, again, we've been holding tight from a higher level. We've broke above this 2-year range and we've been sitting above it. And as we sit above it, okay, the moving averages play catch up. The 8 days almost played catch up. We're still extended, but you now have a 3-day range here. Okay, a 3-day range that traders are trading against. So as long as that's the case and you trade for alpha, here is your upper support. So as long as upper support stays intact, which just says Friday's low of 21.55, you have to be constructive on the tape, because if it were to get above this flag, the measured move is still well north of 22.40, and that takes it up there. So the last thing you want to do is be fighting this move the entire way up. So as of now, still looking very constructive.
Okay, and tech stocks are leading the S&P 500 today, and we know that after the closing bell, we got the results from Netflix and also IBM. So how will that affect tomorrow's market?
It'll be interesting because the Qs made weekly highs today, and that's what you wanted to see technology start to lead. But we're going to be a little affected by tomorrow's numbers. Let's go to the Qs first. The Qs have not made all-time highs. The S&P, the Dow, they've all been at all-time highs, and look at where the all-time highs are of the Qs. So you still have some room all the way up to here. And that would be nice if it gets up there, but you're going to need some help. Okay, at this point, we're still above this pivot. We're still above the 8-day. It did clear last week's move, so we'll see how it acts moving forward. But this was, healthy action in the Qs. But for tomorrow, we're going to have to see what happens. Netflix, which is a momentum name, and Netflix has not been a leader. You do not take stock into earnings. Okay, I don't care who you are, especially as a trader, because you could blow up. You take options because risk is premium paid. Caught in a downtrend, bounced off the lows, and now you can't be a growth stock and not have growth. So they said growth is slowing with a high PE. Here's support one around 84, and then this is your next support around 80. We'll see how this, affects something like Facebook, because it is a growth stock and had a really nice day today. People probably thinking, what happens if Facebook has the same result, which I don't think they do. So we'll see if this strong day, is buyable tomorrow, if there's any weakness. Amazon finally held the 21 days, so we'll see if Netflix affects Amazon tomorrow. I'll have this in my morning note and my morning call to see if this low holds and if we could potentially get above this spot to continue. And then lastly, IBM, it's actually up after hours. Okay, IBM is a value tech. Value tech has been very important for the market, and at this point, IBM has done nothing in a while, even though it's well above this post-Brexit low. Okay, if you go to your weekly chart of IBM, it hasn't done anything in a long time. So if we can get and stay above, just say the 200-day moving average, which is right here near 162, your next spot takes you a little bit closer to 174, and that would actually help maybe names like Microsoft and Apple.
And also, Bank of America is added to the positive earnings momentum following the Citigroup and JP Morgan. So how do you think about this sector? Because I think banks are very strong right now.
Well, they all came a long way, so they sold them down into Citigroup and JP Morgan. So the market always wants to confuse everyone. So like, JP Morgan was sold on earnings. Citigroup was sold on earnings. So let's just sell Bank of America, and then Bank of America rallied. At this point, Bank of America is considered like a value bank name. So value is been key lately, and actually I have the long-term chart up. So here is where it got rejected near 18, and it's still nowhere, and look where it came from, all the way back when. So anyway, go to the daily chart of Bank of America. It actually, responded pretty well today, and I think with the way it responded now, it could get at least to, the 200-day and then maybe above it. We'll see if JP Morgan, which is still considered best in breed, could continue to hold above the moving averages. If JP Morgan can continue to hold above this 63, the next spot I do think is north of this 67, which would help the overall banking sector and probably add a little bit of a tailwind versus a headwind, because the banks have been a headwind all year. Maybe it gets some traction now.
Okay, that's what we have for today.
Yes, and also I'm just saying for tomorrow, let's watch oil. Oil has been a little bit of a laggard, and maybe if there is a little weakness in tech or high beta, maybe some money rotates to oil, and the buyouts I think are ready for a move, and I'll go over that in the morning call tomorrow.
本周将会有更多的名字来发布他们财报，希望您继续关注我们的节目。我们明天再见。